The WWE just wrapped up Backlash with one of the greatest crowds in the history of the company. So what's next? Well, in the immediate, it is the King and Queen of the Ring. Again, talking about uncomfortable conversations in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. That is coming up in a couple of weeks' time. But beyond that, we have a lot going on. It is it is Money in the Bank in Toronto, and then it is SummerSlam in Cleveland, Ohio. And so I thought, instead of going all the way out to WrestleMania, let's book this thing down just to SummerSlam. Let's see how we get to the midpoint of the year in the WWE. I went with 9 matches because that's how many they had last year, and let me tell you, it was tough getting everyone on this show. And you remember last year, they couldn't get Trish Stratus against Becky Lynch on the show, or didn't. I guess they probably could have. It's their show. But there are definitely a few that get left off here that I did not enjoy leaving off. So we will begin with the WWE Women's Championship, Bayley against Tiffany Stratton. I think that feud has legs, and I think, honestly, Tiffy time at SummerSlam. You get a few months out of Bayley, but I think you get a big moment here for Tiffany Stratton. Assuming she continues to develop, she deserves to be in this world title picture, and I think she gets the win. So I would continue to book Tiffy time all the way up to SummerSlam. Next, I would go the Gorillas of Destiny and Solo against the Pride. So Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. I think the Street Profits are a great team to make the Gorillas of Destiny look really good. And I think Solo Sikoa taking out a big monster like Bobby Lashley is a really good way to continue to build up this faction as we get ready for a bit more faction warfare later to come in the year. The women's tag team titles, I'm going back with what didn't work in Lyon, but I'm hoping that it gets better with Bianca and Jade against the Kabuki Warriors. Now, we don't know how long Asuka is going to be out. If there has to be a Dakota Kai thrown in there with Kairi Sane, then fine. But I think these are still, even with some of the issues, these are still the 2 best teams in the WWE's women's tag team division right now. The one caveat on that being, if we do get the Wyatt 6 at some point, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, I think, certainly need to be in there. I didn't put all of them in there just because we don't know them yet, and so I think there are a lot of very educated guesses, but it's still assuming, and so I think that can be a bit of a dangerous game for sure. Liv Morgan against Io Sky for the Women's World Championship. Io winning it at SummerSlam last year, cashing in Money in the Bank. I think Liv Morgan does come away with the title win over Becky Lynch, and I think these two have an unbelievable match. But if you guys have watched the show for any length of time, most of my fantasy booking eventually leads to, and Io Sky wins the championship, because I think she is that talented of a performer. The United States title on the line. Logan Paul, he's gotta be in Cleveland, going up against Andrade. I think these two have an unbelievable match and just completely blow things away. So I think there's a lot of fun there. I got the big meaty men smack and meet with Gunther taking on Braun Strowman. I would imagine Gunther wins the King of the Ring here, and we start to really progress him in his title aspirations. They could even do it at this point, and I wouldn't necessarily be stunned, or even before. But I think for right now, what we know, I would go with him over Braun Strowman and continue to build up that monster character that way. Drew McIntyre against CM Punk in some kind of holy shit, they're beating the hell out of each other type of a match. That just feels like the way to go. They will probably do a thing at Clash in the Castle in Scotland, and then this will be the official end of the blood feud, assuming both guys can stay healthy out of whatever match they do out in Scotland. For the World Heavyweight Championship, it is Damian Priest against Finn Balor as the Judgment Day comes crumbling down around Damian Priest, who I believe gets a win here and comes away looking like, continuing to look like a really big megastar, officially finishing up his babyface turn, setting him up for something with Gunther on down the line. And then in the main event, it's just nothing really. Just Cody against Roman Reigns rematch. That's all. That's it. That's all I would do. We'll see. I went back and forth on whether I thought it would be Cody against Roman, or Cody against Rock. I think eventually we get both. I don't know how we get there, quite honestly, because I do think at WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas, it will be The Rock against Roman Reigns. So again, I don't know how you get both Cody rematches in this year. Maybe it is, or matchups in this year. Maybe you just go Cody against Rock here. Rock moves on from it, and then you go Rock against Roman, or fucking Rock wins the title here. Who knows? I think there's a lot of ways you can go with this, but Cody is definitely in the main event, and he will continue to hold that title, I think, for a very long time. Just a couple other quick wrestling notes. Anarchy in the Arena is going to be incredible as you see that the teams come together, and I have found myself pretty intrigued in this storyline with the Young Bucks kind of taking over a little bit. I thought we needed to get a touch more of them this week, continuing to put their stamp on this show, making it a little bit more insufferable. It is tough to escalate from hitting a guy with diverticulitis in the stomach with a chair, but I thought we could have used a little bit more power-hungry Young Bucks this week instead of just they have their video whatever, but I think over the next little bit, we see them become more and more insufferable. And I wonder if this is, it's funny, so much of my ideas come back to blood and guts. But I wonder if you get eventually a blood and guts for control of the company or something along those lines at a certain event. Or even a Dynamite, who's to say. But I thought AEW this week was pretty strong. The Embassy turning on Swerve is interesting. No Prince Nana there is interesting. Nana is such a fun part of the presentation with the Swerve When I Drive dance and stuff like that. I would hate to see them broke up. But after a bit of an initial blip, I think they've done a pretty good job of building Swerve Strickland up. And it was awesome to see Mo Jabari wrestling on Dynamite, getting in there and kind of mixing it up with Chris Jericho and Big Bill a little bit. So that was really cool to see. But I thought, aside from that, that was the coolest thing in wrestling this week. Aside from that, I thought the coolest thing in wrestling this week, honestly, NXT doing their combine to figure out who the 6 competitors are for the the Women's North American Championship ladder match, I thought was brilliant. And when I heard it, I kind of groaned, but they have started it out really, really well. And it's something only they could do. I don't think this is a main roster thing you could do or anything like that. Maybe you could do some kind of NBC tie-in with the Olympics thing, like some kind of triathlon, whatever the hell, for a title shot. But they did that with the Viking Raiders, Warriors, whatever, and the Street Profits during the pandemic, and it sucked. Now, different creative team. But I thought I kind of groaned when I heard it. And then to see it in execution, I thought it was so unique and so brilliant and such a great use of something they do there anyway. And it's a real good way of putting over a lot of your talent at once instead of just here's a match, here's a match, here's a match, here's a match. You can kind of tie it in with, look, this person is athletic as heck, and that is why they deserve to be in this match. And then you can kind of pivot off of this where you have someone who goes out there and can like broad jump a car and okay, well, why aren't you being a little bit better? Where is all this potential going? And so I think there are storylines you can kind of build off of with this. I thought it was so creative and so well done. So bravo to NXT for putting that together this week.